Hi, it's Laurie Hoke. I am here to inspire and develop the leader within you. So thanks for joining me. Today I want to talk about the mystery and myth of needing to know how. Have you been there, done that? Ever got stuck not proceeding or moving forward with something because you felt you didn't know what to do, or you didn't know how to do it, or what was expected of you in order to take the next step? Yeah. Well, the good news is I have discovered what an illusion the need to know how is. In my own life over the last probably 6 to 12 months, definitely the last 6 to 12 months, my family and I have been undergoing some huge transitions. And that looks like uprooting our family of 5 from our current community in Nebraska and transitioning to a new life in North Dakota. Now, there's many reasons for this move, and I don't need to go into all of them right here, but it's pursuing a higher vision, pursuing the next step in moving our potential to a greater place of maturity and expansion so we can make a larger impact on this world and fulfill the plans and purposes our lives are destined for. Now, that being said, there are so many requirements and details of making a move. This was in fact our first move with children. I've moved multiple times in my life, but never with a family. So there was a lot of new things that we're discovering. But as you know, with any move, there is an inordinate amount of details, both on what you're leaving, wrapping things up there, as well as in what you're going toward and securing a place to live, new opportunities, new a place to learn and grow and be involved. There's all sorts of things there. What this process has taught me is that the process cannot be rushed. And there is no reason to know from the beginning how things are all going to take shape over the process unfolding over the next several months, or in our case, a year. This feeling of inspiration that a change was coming began about 14 months ago for my family. And we couldn't put our finger on what exactly, but we knew there was a stirring to pursue a higher call, a next step, knowing that where we were now wasn't our place to remain forever. There would be a continual transition required to fulfill our life's call. So we began to really lean into that and to step into what that would become, not having any idea how that would take shape. But over the last 14 months, being present to the process, not forcing anything, not rushing anything, or requiring us to know how it was going to look or what it was going to become, was really key to us staying in peace through this journey, both for myself as well as my kids and my husband. Staying in peace. I believe that's a critical component to leading our lives well and effectively when we're not trying to force certain outcomes, but rather we can step back and say, I don't need to know how this is all going to look. I'm committed that a change is coming. When I get a greater sense of what kind of change is required here and what I'm being invited to step into next, I'll commit to that. And creating that commitment to the end goal then allows the opportunity of the flow to happen of what will take us from where we are now here to where we desire to be. Now, I'll be honest, the pressure started to mount back last fall, several months ago, when people from all directions, when we started sharing the news a little bit, began to say, well, has your house sold? Where are you going to live up there? What are you going to do next? What if this? What if that? How about this? Why haven't you done this? Blah, 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 blah. Now, I had made the commitment to stay in peace through this process. And that meant being able to be okay with not knowing how it was going to look. But I realized I was wavering one time when I was confronted back to back in a couple different conversations with people that are significant in my life that began to ask that myriad of inquiries. And I began to feel like, almost like I had to defend myself of, and then I felt like, gosh, maybe I'm not doing enough. Maybe it's not clear. Maybe I'm being too relaxed in this process. What if I should have things better organized? My goodness, how many people uproot their family and really have no set plans yet? They're just so committed to their goal and trusting the process, as well as someone greater than themselves. For me, that looks like a relationship with God. For you, it might look like something or someone different. But when we can relax into knowing that it's not all dependent upon me and what I can do or what I see or my own capabilities, man, that's when we can regroup and know, I don't have to know how right now. Those details will come in time, and all of those things will be contingent upon the step prior. So we live life in real time. Just like any sports game that you've watched on TV, the coach might have their game strategy and know the plays they want to execute and the type of approach they're going to take to the game. But my gosh, they're constantly making adjustments. The game plan is continuously in flux because the game is in flow. That means they have to be making adjustments to the way they thought or predicted it was going to go based on their assessment before the game began. See, a lot of people get hung up trying to know every step in the process from the starting blocks. How could you know from that point? You see, you find the how as you proceed. You find the how as you move forward one step at a time. I don't think it's a requirement that we know how before we begin. Of course, that makes people feel more comfortable and secure. But how could I have known how this whole transition to North Dakota would look 14 months in advance? There's been details and things that have happened both in me and my family's life and experiences that have brought the clarity required in order to move forward. Without those keys and clues along the way, I couldn't have known how this was all going to go. But when I'm watching the process with eyes wide open and being sensitive to that feeling of peace within, as I walk through this, depending upon my Creator, it is very empowering to understand that the way things have lined up now are exactly as they should be. And I've gotten to enjoy the process because I've stayed in peace. That night when I got a little up in arms, realizing that maybe I'm not doing enough and kind of getting swallowed in that need to know how that the people around me were kind of projecting, or the way I was perceiving their expectations of my pursuit in this process. When I regrouped after I got back home, I realized, no, I'm not going to be sucked in by all that. I am taking this one step at a time, knowing that what happened yesterday is building the next step that I'll probably need to take later today or tomorrow or next week. And that as I am allowing myself to discover the right time to find our new home, the right time to look for those new opportunities for schools and education and getting involved in the community, as well as trusting the process to close out our season in our current community, man, there's something so powerful. So I think we need to be clear that we go in with a very narrowly defined outcome. As much as we can, we get as close to defining what it is that we're after and what we're seeking. Narrowly defined outcome with very loosely defined methodologies so that we can flux and ebb and flow as needed in the process. Because that's truly where we can relax and stay in peace and give ourselves permission to release ourselves from the pressure and expectations we put on ourselves that we must know how in order to start. And instead know that, man, just as when I drove up the mountain of Pikes Peak last summer, I saw that it was a winding road, lots of switchbacks and turns and curves and unexpected paths in the road. And I looked back from the summit and thought, That's exactly how life goes. It's full of twists and turns that we couldn't have predicted. That's the how unfolding one bend in the road at a time. But when we can be to that finish line knowing there's no way we could have known how, we found how along the way, and we stand victorious now at the summit because we didn't let the need to know how stop us. So is there a project? Is there an initiative? Is there a group or some sort of movement or idea or goal that you've gotten stuck on, either in process or at the beginning, because you felt you didn't know how? You're lying to yourself if you say you need to know how. The joy that true leaders embrace as one leads their life is finding how, not knowing how. So what can you do today to commit and release yourself from the pressure and expectation of having to know how, and instead be able to stand in peace, stand in your power, and find your how along the way? What can you do to take that step forward today? Blessings. Can't wait to hear. Bye-bye.